Good. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm having a little computer trouble, so I check in a little late here.
You're still on time.
Yeah. Thanks. Let me.
Hey, Kurt, do you happen to have the correspondence for the public hearing?
No.
I don't seem to have any either. Does anyone else?
What are you asking for?
The any correspondence for the Huckleberry Hill School public hearing?
Yeah, no.
I have Eric, I have the fire marshal's correspondence. I'm looking at it right now. So
Okay.
let me make sure there's nothing else.
Do you end up wanting to read that in then, Fran? Because I don't have it.
Yeah, when it comes to that time, I'll read it into the record.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have everybody we're gonna have?
I know Tony can't make it tonight, but I didn't hear nothing from Gasper or Mary, and I do see that Leslie is here. So you have one, two,
Here comes Mary now.
3, 4. There she is. Yep.
All right, we ready to start?
Allison, you good to go?
Yep. We're streaming and recording.
Okay.
All right, this is the regular meeting of the Brookfield Zoning Commission via Zoom for July 9, 2020. And first thing on our agenda is to review the minutes of the previous meetings. I wasn't there, so Mary?
Yeah, everything looks good. Do we have a motion for that?
Motion
Any
with a
discussion?
correction.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the last thing, the next meeting was listed at August 13th. It's actually today, July 9th.
That's true. So with that,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting of June 25th, 2020.
a second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Fran?
Yep. Okay, it was a busy couple weeks. I got a complaint regarding 15 Richards Road, Stephen Payak. Neighbors complaining that he has a shed in the front yard, some kind of awning for some kind of old jewelry store, and there's also a big child play structure in the front yard. So I sent Mr. Payak a notice of violation via mail. Then I actually emailed it to him also, giving him till July 14th to comply with the order. I have not heard any response yet from him. It's not like him, but he typically gets back. But I know he's renting the house. This one was on the enforcement report a while ago for an accessory apartment, but I'm still watching it. So, but he has until the 14th to respond to the order. 13 Dean Road, last name is Pereira. I received a written complaint that the owner is actually selling or allegedly selling boats and cars from the property out there. They have the stickers on them and stuff. He's been doing a lot of wheeling and dealing. I sent him a notice of violation also, asking him to contact me by the 14th so we can put this to bed. He shouldn't be doing that at a residential zone. If he owns a dealership, that's where he should be doing it. So still waiting to hear back on that one. For 41A Secor Road, Cabrera residence. Land use office received a complaint that there was somebody doing a lot of wood cutting in the back, possibly encroaching on town property that butts up to conserve land. When we went out there, we noticed that he's got a tree company. This has been on the report, the enforcement report again, prior. I sent him a notice of violation, getting out, but he brought everything back in there again. There's bucket trucks, there's chippers, there's all kinds of commercial equipment out of a zone. So I did send a notice of violation, and they have until July 22nd to comply. And again, this is a second notice of violation. So, road, Aquil residence. There's been a lot of activity going on at this property. This is the second time for this residence too. He's got an advertising sign out in the front, advertising stonework. I'm going to try to get on the property within the next week or so, because I do believe it's a contractor's yard. He's got excavators. He does have a permit for doing retaining walls, but there's so much commercial equipment there. To me, it looks like a commercial yard, and I'll share the pictures with the commission by next week, and they can have it on the agenda for the following meeting to see what route we want to go with that. So, notice of
Sorry,
violation.
what was the address on this property?
I'm 107 Stony Hill.
Thank you.
Yep. And then I sent him a notice of violation. He's got till the 18th to comply with the order. So to remove the sign. 36 Elbow Hill Road, Mr. Broderick residence. He constructed a shed on his property without a permit, sent him a notice of violation. He called on Monday the 6th, said he'd be in to comply with the order. As of today, he has yet to submit any permit or anything else. So I figure I'll give him till tomorrow. If there's nothing in by tomorrow, then I'll go to a cease and desist, as long as that's okay with the commission. So unless anybody has any objections. So. And then 39 Candlewood Shores Road. Again, this is the Zenko residence. They have the child play area in the front yard. She's trying to get it removed. The people that installed it said they can't get out there till the 14th to have it removed, and they're going to relocate it to another spot. So she's on there till the 14th at least. And then 19A Elbow Hill Road, Mr. Marcus was supposed to have the paperwork into the commission or into the office for this meeting, but that has not happened. But his office has called Pam from his secretary, and it's going to be on the agenda for the 13th for 19A Elbow Hill Road. This is the not the landscaping, but the nursery / contractor's yard there, and he's going to be doing his own change for that. So supposedly it's supposed to be in by the 13th at our next meeting. So, and that's it.
Fran, on that last one, he's not adding anything more there. He's not like planning on it being passed and doing more stuff in there. He's kind of stopped, right?
Yeah, no, he hasn't done anything else. He's still doing a nursery out of there. It's all trees and stuff. There's nothing else. There's no crushing. There's no processing of material. There's no topsoil. It's just strictly, he's just storing it for landscape. From what I can see, that's it. So.
Okay, I just want to make sure he's not operating out of there like if he was given the zone change. I mean, obviously we're not going to make him move anything right now until they put it in, but I don't want him taking advantage that he thinks he's going to get it and then he's operating that.
No, he hasn't. No.
Okay.
So. And that's it. And I'm sure next meeting is going to be even more than this on the report. So.
All right. So now we're on to the public hearing for 100 Candlewood Lake Road, application Z-20-64. This is a regular meeting of the Brookfield Zoning Commission. At this point in our agenda, we have scheduled a public hearing concerning the application of the town of Brookfield, Connecticut, application Z-20-64. For a new Huckleberry Elementary School. The members here is Eric Cook, Kurt Timmerin, Francis Kwok, Chris Delia, Leslie Ruggiero, Mary Capiello, and I think that's everybody unless someone's in by phone number.
That's it.
Okay. This application was formally received by the commission on June 25th, 2020, and the public notice was dated June 26, 2020. Following public hearing will take place remotely via Zoom conferencing. Please view the agenda for dial-in instructions. To reach the land use office with any questions or concerns, please call 203-775-7316. And it is meeting ID 128-947-054 on Thursday, July 9th for 100 Candlewood Lake Road, application Z-20-64. At this hearing, interested persons may appear and be heard, and written communication will be received. Copies of proposals are on file in the office of the Brookfield Zoning Commission and online, dated in Brookfield, Connecticut, this June 26th through July 9th, Brookfield Zoning Commission. And where is this posted now?
It's still on the town's website.
So that's where it always going to be, on the town's website now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Public hearing is only one aspect of the approval process, and it's for the purposes of accepting factual information and data bearing on this application to allow expression of opinion by interested parties. Subsequent to this hearing, the commission has 65 days plus an added 90 days if needed, in which to render a decision on this proposal. The final decision may be in form of approved as submitted, approved with stipulations, or denied. After reading to record the correspondence received by the commission relative to this application, we'll ask the applicant to present the application in detail. The presentation will be limited to 45 minutes. The chair will then entertain questions of clarification concerning the applicant's presentation. We will hear from those who wish to speak in favor of the application, followed by those who are opposed. Comments must be limited to 5 minutes. Members of the public will have one opportunity to speak during this segment of the hearing and may also submit their concerns in writing during the public hearing. During this segment, the commissioners may ask additional questions. The bylaws of the commission allow only for presentation of similar positions in succession and preclude the intermixture of comments pro or con. All questions and comments must be directed to the chair. As you're recognized, please state your name and address so your comments may be legally recorded. Please be assured that everyone will be given an opportunity to speak. However, the commission is most interested in hearing factual information relative to the application. In view of the time constraints placed upon us, we ask your indulgence in not reiterating comments previously presented. After public comments are received, the applicant will have the opportunity to comment, and the time will be limited to 10 minutes. Is there any questions with anybody out there in the Zoom world? All right, Kurt, can you read, or I'm sorry, Frank, could you read the one correspondence?
I will. Yep. Then this is dated June 24th, 2020, and this comes from the Water Source Committee, the town of Brookfield, regarding application Z-20-64. Property address is 100 Candlewood Lake Road, design review for new Huckleberry Elementary School. Will be on the Zoning Commission agenda for 6/25 to be received to the public hearing for 7/9 and set for 7/9/20. And their comments are: no comments from the fire marshal / water source. Both entities are in direct contact with the engineer. And this was stamped and received in the office on June 26, 2020. So, and it's signed by just like Jason D'Souza, the fire marshal. So,
Okay, and who's here for the applicant?
Good evening, Chairman Cook and members of the commission. My name is Darren Overton. I'm the site design engineer for Mylona McBroom and project manager for our company. Here also on the Zoom call with me are members of Tecton, who are the architects for the project. Ed Wadowski is here, and also Jeff Wazinski. So we've prepared a brief presentation for you. We've been working with Fran to coordinate and carefully looking through the zoning regulations, part of this design, working with the building committee. We've had regular staff meetings with town staff, and we've put together a careful application for you. So we're here to present I have a rendering of existing conditions as well as the proposed development. If Allison would like to give me control of the presentation, I can bring up a couple of those presentation boards and go over an overview for you. Or if you have any questions right now, I'd be happy to answer them.
Go ahead.
Okay, just a second. And you're a co-host, Darren.
Okay, great.
Great.
Screen share coming through yet? I don't see it lighting up. Oh, wait a minute, let me try this one. Okay. Can everybody see the title?
yes.
All right, so I'll move down to existing conditions here. We have an overlay of our existing conditions survey on the aerial topography for the site. So this is the existing Huckleberry School here. You can see the building here, the main entrance off of Candlewood Lake Road, the circulation through the parking lot. There's bus drop off and parking in back. Some later additions to the school here and the ball fields in back. So to the north of us is existing residential and Apple Hill Road. Over on the east is Candlewood Lake Road, existing residential. Also to the south is existing residential. And then we have the other property owned by the town to the south of us here, which is the Erickson Farm parcel. To the west, this property extends all the way into Danbury. But for the purposes of our application, we've only looked at the area in Brookfield itself. On this plan, we have the wetlands that are highlighted in green. We have an application pending before the Wetlands Commission currently, and we have a public hearing open for that. The topography of the site, if you see the blue through the site here, there's a pipe system that picks up a couple of water courses. There's a north-central tributary here that enters at a head wall and is piped under the ball fields. There's also one that comes in from the northwest part of the site, is piped under the ball fields, and then they discharge here into a wetland corridor and continuing south. This is an unnamed tributary to the Still River. For the most part, the existing development here, the school was built around the 1970s along with the ball fields. For the most part, this is a redevelopment project to build a new school that is within about 15 acres of the previous construction for the development on the site. This black line here represents what is a 500-year floodplain through the site. And as part of the state funding, there's a requirement for us to submit a floodplain management certificate to the DEP in order to approve a state-funded project that would have any sort of floodplain. So as part of that, we are addressing the 500-year flows through what is an improved culvert system and making sure that the school is not prone to any flooding for these water courses. So we prepare that application that'll be submitted to DEEP. So we are addressing, even though there's no local regulatory issues for a 500-year floodplain, we are addressing the issues relative to the state funding requirements. We've reviewed the zoning regulations as well as other regulations in town. This property is not located in an aquifer protection zone, and it is also not part of a water supply watershed. So I'll move on to proposed conditions. So this is a proposed rendering of the project. And what you'll see is we're locating the school back on the other side to the west of where that pipe system and stream channel exists now. The reason being, and this is a key part of the design, is that we need to build and accommodate construction of the existing school, or the proposed school, excuse me, while the existing school remains in operation. So we have to maintain the existing infrastructure, the school building, access, parking, et cetera, all those items that are necessary to operate the existing school while allowing construction of the new school. And then we're going to go through a transition where the new school is in operation and the old building is torn down, and the remaining improvements, such as this northeastern parking lot, will be developed once the existing building and other infrastructure are removed. So we have a very careful schedule that we're following. There is a construction manager on board and also an owner's representative that we're working with to carefully coordinate all this work. Also working with school staff and the superintendent to make sure that what we are doing, they have the ability to still operate the existing school and also the ability to operate the new school while we're still in the construction phase of this project. So we have the proposed Consolidated Elementary School. Well, we're adding the center school here. It's going to be a 146,800 square foot building. There's a planned enrollment of 1,266 students, where Huckleberry currently has 529. We're proposing 280 parking spaces, where there's currently 143. The southern lot here is primarily going to be used for visitors, for parent pickup and drop off, but some staff will also utilize this site, while the northern parking lot, the bus circulation comes around the northern parking lot, and this is going to be used for staff. We believe that this parking lot will be fully utilized by staff, and there'll be some overflow into this for staff as well. So we have a main entrance here off of Huckleberry Hill Road at a similar location to where the existing entrance comes in. The bus loop comes in and buses will turn off to the right and loop around. You can see our sidewalk system starts here for pickup later. Buses will circulate through. We do have a paver pedestrian access through here. Buses will come through and drop off in the morning, but in the evening pickup, they will actually stack from the length from the beginning of this sidewalk all the way through here, through the paver access area for pedestrians out to here. We need that length to accommodate the full number of buses that are required for pickup for the 1,266 or so students, minus the pickups that will need to access the buses. So the building coverage is about 2.34 acres for the new footprint. It's about 10.25% of the site. We have a proposed impervious coverage that increases to 7.6 acres or 33% of the site versus 4.4 acres under existing. Again, the disturbed footprint is about the same as the previous development, about 15 acres. We're considering 3 phases of construction, understanding the new school has to be built first while the old one is in operation. Then we have kind of a transition period, and then we have the final development. So we've basically put together our plans, and particularly our erosion sediment control plans relative to those 3 phases of development. There's a second access point to Candlewood Lake Road. This is an exit only that will allow for both right and left turns. The main entrance is a full access, which will have also right and left turn lane for the exits and 1 inbound lane. We've worked with the police chief carefully to look at the traffic for the additional enrollment for the students, the additional number of buses and parents that will pick up and drop off here. And we are adding a turn lane, a left turn lane out on Candlewood Lake Road, and also a right turn lane in for the proposed development. So as I mentioned, we have 280 parking spaces. I'll go over some of as part of this, there was 386 required under the zoning regulations, but we have worked carefully with school staff to understand exactly what the need is, understanding that we don't want to overbuild the parking, but also have to consider after school events as well. So we have sought some variances on this project, which have been approved by the ZBA. We've also looked at, as part of the event parking, this bus loop is an extra wide loop that provides the ability for buses to park and also provides for bypass. So during events, after school events, we anticipate that anybody attending those events could parallel park on one side of this loop and could also parallel park on one side of the parent drop-off loop. So there's also opportunity out here in the grass playfield where we could have overflow parking. We've looked at the count of how many cars we could fit in here, and for event parking, we can accommodate up to about 400 cars. All the site utilities are going to extend from Candlewood Lake Road. They're basically going to be an upgrade or a new service coming in. We have sanitary sewer that comes in along the southern property line. There's a main that extends on site. Utilize that to serve the new school. The existing school is served by an on-site well system. That is going to be removed, and there are plans to bring a new water main to the site to serve the school. There's also plans with Eversource to bring a new gas main to serve the school. So all of the utilities have been accommodated and all are coming in along Candlewood Lake Road. So as far as the variances, we received a variance for the parking number. We worked carefully with staff and our traffic engineers to determine what's needed, and we believe 280 spaces is suitable. So we received a variance from ZBA for that number of parking spaces. Also, the southern playground area here, there's a provision in the zoning regulations that doesn't allow playground equipment within the side setback, which is 75 feet. Because of the width of the building and to accommodate all of the program here and work within the wetland limits to minimize our wetland disturbance, we believe some of the play equipment needed for the playground space in the pre-K and K area along this southern part of the property will be within that 75 feet. So we sought a variance to reduce that to 40 feet. And that was granted, recognizing that this faces the wooded portion of the Erickson Farm parcel, which you can see is delineated wetlands. So we felt that wasn't really much of an impact since there are no neighbors that are there, and we were granted that variance. We also had a slight increase in building coverage to accommodate the program beyond what is allowed in zoning. The zoning limits it to 10%. We got a variance to go up to 12 because we were slightly over the 10%. We also talked to Park and Rec staff and the school staff regarding snow removal for the site. The zoning regulations require a parking island within all of these parking spaces. And you can see in the central area, this northern parking lot, there's a couple of islands that are not shown here, and then also a couple here for these rows of parking. So staff preferred to have more of this central area open to accommodate snow removal. So we sought a variance for those islands as well, and it was granted. And that is it for the variances. So we did go to ZBA, we followed the process for that, and that was granted. The last couple of things I want to go over are stormwater management. I'm just going to flip to one more plan here. This is our site utilities plan that was submitted as part of the application. Highlighted on here some of the stormwater features. We are very limited in our ability to do above ground storage because you can see we're surrounded by the wetlands here, and we've carefully located the building footprint to minimize those wetlands, while understanding we need to still operate the existing school and have limited area to develop our parking on this side, while both schools could potentially be, either under construction or in operation. So here we have the pipe streams coming through. We relocated the pipe system under the ball field to go around the school. We've sized it to accommodate the 500-year storm to meet the floodplain management requirements. And as part of our discussion with DEEP, we've actually considered opening up a part of the stream channel that's piped and doing some stream channel restoration here, which we're also considering part of our wetland mitigation. And then we have underground storage for the parking lots. All of the stormwater is pre-treated in hydrodynamic separators before it goes into the underground storage. And then we also have storage for the roof leaders here on the south side of the building. And then out here for our runoff, part of the watershed does run off the Candlewood Lake Road. We have a bioretention basin here that's treating the main entrance drive. So we've accommodated detention storage so that there are no peak increases in peak flows from the site. That's important because we do have a 500-year floodplain on the property. So we've accommodated that in the design. And then the last thing, we have a phased ENS plan. I won't go through a lot of the details of that unless there's questions on it, but we will be applying for a deep stormwater general permit for construction, which takes into consideration not only our stormwater management, but also our ENS control plan. We have carefully worked the phasing of the ENS control plan based on the logistics plan that the construction manager has put together and provided us for how they plan to construct this project. And it's been coordinated, and we'll continue to develop that as we move through the regulatory process. But we believe we have a plan that meets not only the local requirements, but will also be consistent with the stormwater general permit for DEEP. So I've probably given you more detail than you wanted to hear. Certainly, if there are any questions, be happy to answer that. But Eddie and Jeff are here from Tecton. They're prepared to present some of the building information. They've worked very carefully with the building committee to put a building together that's not only aesthetically pleasing, but accommodates the full needs of the program, meets the ED specifications that were put together by the building committee. And they're here to present anything that you would like to see regarding the architecture for the building.
Okay.
I have a question. Kurt Timmerman talking. You mentioned about the stormwater being routed around the building and then in the front and then opening to some wetlands area. Is that a bridge over that? Is that what I see? Or like a walkway over in the middle towards the front of the building?
So right now, if you can see where my cursor is, this is where the existing pipe system discharges from under the ball fields.
Yes.
So we do have some wetland impact here that we're looking for approval from the Wetland Commission for. And currently these are designed with box culverts to provide access. This is the access to the pre-K and kindergarten section of the building. And then because we are opening up that stream channel, we also have a second box culvert as part of the main access to the building and the access to the up to the 5th grade wings of the building. And the discharge is right here. So we do have a couple of box culverts to accommodate those main access points.
All right, so that's not open to the air. That's just showing how it's going to flow underground.
So this green area right here is actually a restored open channel.
Oh, all right.
Flows through a box culvert and then again an open channel, a box culvert, and then we tie into the existing natural channel that's here.
Is that intended to be some sort of, plant feature on the front of the building or just water? I mean, you'll be able to see it from walking over there, right? Through the front. It's hard to, okay.
So we're providing some plantings along here with native species. We've meandered the channel a little bit. There's going to be natural round boulders in the bottom we've basically tried to mimic the existing channel here in creating the stream channel. And we believe it'll be a nice feature for the entrance to the building to see the stream channel flowing through here. It could also be an educational aspect as part of the elementary school, should they choose to include that in the program.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a quick question on that. There's no safety issues for the children going in and out if there's that open there?
So we have sidewalks leading from the paved areas. We have the, let me go back to the rendering here. So we have these paver access areas to define the access points. We have paver crosswalks for pedestrians and sidewalks leading to all of the entrances. This crossing here, or the box culverts there will be railings there that are required by code to, so that there are no safety issues in relation to that stream channel.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
I have a question. This is Frank Woke. You mentioned north and south on Candlewood Lake Road that there would be left turn lanes installed. Will there be a traffic light as well at the main entrance?
So there's no traffic light proposed at the main entrance. So heading north on Candlewood Lake Road, we have a left turn lane right here, which you can see by the arrows. So there's a bypass lane for through traffic and a left turn lane for anybody turning into the school. We also have, since this is coming downhill, we have a right turn lane into the school to allow bypass traffic. And also, since this is downhill, it kind of gives you an ability to decelerate without having through traffic to slow down too much for anybody taking a right turn into the school. We are not proposing a traffic signal, and we don't believe it would meet the warrants for a traffic signal.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Allison, would it be possible for you to grant me control so I can share my screen?
Yep, I already made you guys co-hosts, so you should be all set.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, so just briefly go over the building. As Darren mentioned, we've been trying very hard to make sure that the building is integrated with the landscape. It's been a concept that's been on board ever since the feasibility study and the grant application. And so really trying it in, having, the bridges that we talked about going over the stream channel, tying into the entrances, having a very natural landscaped appearance at the front of the building and having the building reach out towards the wooded hills on the west side. The building is, the plan that you see in front of you is rotated 90 degrees from the plans we were looking at before. But you can see essentially all of the public spaces are at the front of the building. And the classrooms, so the administrative area is a single story in front, rising up to a 2-story, but single floor space for some of the high bay areas, the gym, cafeteria, and then 2 stories for the classrooms in the back. Essentially, all of the spaces are available for public use after hours. So if there wants to be an event in the gym or the cafeteria or any of the multi-purpose spaces, there's ways to cordon off the building so that only that space is accessible and occupants can't wander around through. As Darren mentioned, we do have 2 entrances. So there's a main entrance that you see here on the right, a secondary entrance for the pre-K and K grades that's closer to their areas, knowing that the younger students, we want to try and minimize their travel distance. Because it is such a large school, we have split up a few things. So you see multiple assembly spaces, 2 cafeterias, 1,266 students, even with 3 lunch waves is a lot to try and accommodate at one time. It is a 2-story building because of the size that is needed for the large amount of students. 2-story is really the right number of floors for a pre-K through 5th grade school. Everybody in 1st grade and younger needs to be on the ground floor throughout the day. And because we're only going up through 5th grade, we really don't want people having to go more than another floor. So you see the kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade on the 1st floor. As we step up to the 2nd floor, it's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And you see we do have connecting bridges across. A lot of glass on this side of the building to accentuate the views out to the wooded areas. A library media center that extends to, that actually is on 2 floors. We have an administrative area that supervises, so going back here to the 1st floor, so our admin area out in front has good supervision of the bus and parent drop-off. We have 2 health areas, so each of the two entrances have their own way of getting in and out and getting potentially a sick student. But then coming up to this monumental stair, there's a secondary admin upstairs. And then last thing I want to say is just that the architecture, the materials we've chosen really try to, again, blend into the landscape. So natural materials, brick, stone, wood, rust-colored metal panels. And we've really tried to make sure that the landscaping that's been chosen works well, a building that looks at home in the environment. And we've also tried with the massing of the building, the location of it, and screening to make sure that mechanical units are not visible. And that's really it, unless you have questions.
Do you happen to have an outside rendering of the building?
Yeah, we do. So I'll give you the caveat that a few things are still kind of in flux. At the last presentation to the building committee and board of ed, they wanted a little bit more of a softening of the canopy. So that's something we're working on, but you can see the stream channel out in front, the landscaping, the bridges going across, and the stepping building, again, with the natural earth tones, the wood and the brick and stone out in front.
Okay, how is the school being heated and cooled versus the old school, which I think was all electric?
Yeah, the new school is all going to be, basically it's chilled beams, gas-fired boiler, condensing boiler, and chillers.
And part of this project is the gas line running up, correct?
That is correct.
And what about waste and water?
Darren, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I'm muting. So we have on the north side of the building, we've accommodated a service area there, which we worked with Tecton to design. We've provided vehicular access to that and screened the dumpsters behind a screen wall there. We've made sure that there is accessibility for the fire trucks around all 4 sides of the building. And as far as, so refuse is going to be taken out. It's going to be picked up regularly by a hauler that's hired by the school. So Eddie, can you point to the service area there? There it is.
Yeah, so that's right in back here. So we have a site screening wall here. Dumpsters would all be in this location, as would the chillers.
So deliveries will enter that area and enter into the food service on that north side, and then any of the waste recycling or other waste going into the dumpsters will be removed periodically through a contractor.
And waste and water serviced by the like Aquarian and the sewer?
So we do have a utility corridor. The current electrical service kind of comes in along the northern part of the property. We're proposing to bring the water service and gas along there too. We are still coordinating with Eversource and Aquarian. They have gone out to bid for, Aquarian has gone out to bid for design of the water main to extend to the site. The town is working to have that in place up to about a year before it is needed for the school. And then that water main extension is being coordinated with Eversource, who's designing the gas extension, to try and put that in the same trench to minimize disturbance on Candlewood Lake Road and bring this up to the school and the residents along the way in the most cost-effective manner that we can. So that is all underway and being coordinated.
And my final question is, in the wake of COVID-19 and everything that's going on now with, like, I think a lot of people are going to be doing the mixed learning. Has this school been re-looked at that on the inside? Making sure these classrooms are also ready for distant learning as well as students in class?
Yeah, that is something that we are in the midst of looking at.
Okay, because I just think it's a perfect timing that we're building a school, and I think it'd be amiss of us to not look at taking advantage of what the future of the schools are going to look like and not build it into it, because that would be a great, outstanding school for the future.
Kurt Timmerman here. In regards to the future, is there any plans, things set up so solar could be added, or is the roof not conducive to that?
Yes, we do have that in. We don't have the project budget to be able to afford the PV array right now, but there is certainly sufficient area for it. Our electrical engineers have laid out where the PV array would go. And as part of code, we've designed in a connection for future installation. So the building structurally, electrically will be ready to accept an array if the town wants to proceed with one.
Where would the array go?
On the roof.
Basically, the large majority of the roof is all flat. So
Yep.
The building sets up pretty well orientation wise with the classroom wings to capture a lot of the southern exposure. So we took that into account when we were kind of twisting the building around. So I think it's ideally set up, quite honestly. Not a lot of, there's some rooftop equipment, but there's a lot of flat open roof space for a PV array. So
Okay,
yeah.
great. Are there any renderings, even early stage renderings of the interior?
There are.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the main cafeteria on the right side of the plan. This would serve grades 2 through 5. This is a multi-purpose space. Most of the time it will be used as a gym space throughout the day, but it's also capable of being converted into a performance area. We have a stage that is double-sided, so it opens not only to this multi-purpose, but also to the cafeteria that I showed you before.
So some of the comments relative to kind of future-proofing the school earlier from, I think it was Mr. Coop. So a lot of the spaces in this building are built in for multiple flexibility. So they can be used for a variety of different ways. And so that feature is blended all the way through the classroom wing as well. So really, there's a lot of small breakout spaces. So, you talk a lot about social distancing now. There's a lot of opportunity to do that within this building so that if you have to have smaller class sizes, you can do that. So.
is one of the other multi-purpose areas. This is adjacent to the gym. This is gross motor skills. So again, more of a PE type space. You see the secondary cafeteria through the glass beyond, a lot of transparency and visibility throughout the school. And as Jeff mentioned, this is at the entrance to one of the classroom wings. So Jeff was referring to the breakout areas. So spaces for congregation and gathering. That could be a nice little spot for interactive learning, whiteboards and smart boards, technology built in to be able to do learning outside the classroom as well.
So Chris Delia, is there, I see a lot of windows and facing the outside, but just in general, has there been any talk about security measures? Laminate on the windows facing the outside, locks on doors, that sort of thing?
Yes, absolutely. We are planning on secure glazing really everywhere on the first floor. And we are just about to have a meeting with a number of the stakeholders to go through what the policies and procedures want to be in terms of the hardware for the doors and areas of refuge inside the building so that there are safe zones for students and teachers to go to.
Yeah, there's multiple layers of, placement of program, equipment, hardware, and there's also the school safety infrastructure guidelines by the state of Connecticut that we need to adhere to. So those have several dozens of different initiatives to make sure that they're included in this building. So absolutely.
Thank you. And one other question unrelated to this, but has any thought been given? I saw the way the front of the school is I think it would be nice if any thought was given to being able to maybe put at least one of those baseball fields back, or is that just not possible?
So we're trying to leave as much open space in the front of the site as possible. You can see I guess I would call it the southern side has a larger play area. And it's intentional because there's a median that separates the bus and parent drop off that the students can go out the main entry and access that field in a safe fashion. So there's larger green areas in the front of the site now that will offer multiple uses. So we're continuing to look at it, but we're trying to appease, many different aspects of the site.
Sure, I understand. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Chris, there's been a lot of discussion about the side property that borders it, that's given to the town. That's where all the fields, to include more soccer fields, are supposed to go in the future.
Oh, all right, great, thanks.
And that goes out to, I believe, Nabby Road, all the way behind the houses out the front there, all the way to Nabby Road. So there's where his cursor is, that's where the fields and the kind of like a road was going there. And they talked a lot about security to making sure that there's a road that doesn't go through there and how they do that. But that's supposed to be in the future, that piece with all the fields, which I wish they would have showed here. It would have let you know, like, there's going to be a lot of fields off on the right side.
Right.
I got it. Great. Thank you very much, Eric, rather.
Just curious, since we're talking about the future, what was the decision, the thought process behind the decision for natural gas instead of something more green and environmentally friendly?
Jeff, do you want to kind of summarize this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
So we, and mostly engineers that aren't on the phone, but I'll speak for them. We spent quite a bit of time looking at geothermal, photovoltaic, gas. Obviously, we looked at all the various different sources, fuel sources, and did a return on investment. And the payback for geothermal was given a really hard look because of the chilled beam system, which is, if you marry those two together, it's a very efficient system. The payback on that versus natural gas was over 30 years. So the cost didn't really play out. but we're trying to set up the building in a fashion. The mechanical systems alone are tremendously efficient. You don't get more efficient than the chilled beam system that we're including. So we're trying to set up the building so that, if possible, you add the PV, you can start adding green aspects as you move along. So we did look at it. At a certain point, some of the costs come into play, but we're trying to build in that flexibility so that you can do it in the future. So.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the chilled beans. So the school is going to have air conditioning? Is that what that is?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. The chilled beam essentially is it's a lower operating sort of contraption, I guess, if you will. It basically uses hot and cold water through pipes to basically do the heating and cooling. It's a lot less fan speed, a lot less noise, a lot less energy required for it, because it's certainly easier to heat and cool water than it is to heat and cool air. It reduces the amount of duct size. It's less equipment that has to be maintained inside the classroom. So there's a lot of things to like about it. But yes, there would be full air conditioning throughout the building.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. And a quick question about the road widening to make the right turn lane coming south and then the left turn lane coming north. To widen the road, is all that land being taken from the west side, the school side property?
Yes, that's the plan. We're not looking to impact any of those individually owned properties on the east side.
Kurt Timmerman here. Another question related to services. Is there going to be an emergency generator located, and is it on the north side, I guess, where the service equipment entrance would be?
Yes, that's correct. It is also on this north side.
Okay, thank you.
Anything from any other commissioners?
All right now.
All right. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions of clarification? I don't know, Fran, if you could tell, or anybody.
I don't see nothing right now at this moment. Allison, do you see anybody waving their hand?
I don't see any communications, no.
No? Okay. Is there anybody that wants to speak in favor of this application? See anybody's hands waving?
I don't see anybody.
Does anyone want to speak in opposition of this application? All right. I know we have to leave this open because you still have to go through wetlands and everything else. Is there anything else you want to add? Okay, everything good with the commissioners? Any other questions from any commissioners? And when is this going through wetlands? It's already through wetlands. They're just deciding, right?
So
There's
we have,
still-
We have our next, go ahead, Darren.
so we have a continuation of the public hearing coming up on Monday.
Okay. All right. So we're going to continue this one out until obviously wetlands has made their decision.
One question about that. What are wetlands reservations or issues or questions they had about your application to continue it on?
There were a number of issues that were brought up at the initial public hearing. They have also had some review consultants look at the plan. We have responded formally to those comments, and we're looking to present our responses on Monday and hopefully come to consensus to address all of those concerns.
All right. Well, thank you, you gentlemen, for your application. We'll continue this open till next time we meet. And at that time, if there's anybody that sends in an email, we'll address it at that time.
We
So
appreciate
our
your
next
time.
meeting is August 18th, correct?
August 13th.
August 13th. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you
John.
for your time tonight.
All right, so we have no old business. So I think our new business is 7A. Do I have a motion to set the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for application Z-20-66. Proposed regulation change to section 3.3 or 3.14C.1 and 3.14F.2 for August 13th, 2020 meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Now to 7B, 13 Kellogg Street, application Z-20-67. Do I have a motion to set the public hearing for August 13th, 2020?
I move that we set a public hearing date of August 13th, 2020 for Z-20-67, 13 Kellogg Street, which is Z-20-67. I just said that. It's an application for an accessory apartment.
Second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me one second, Fran.
Yes.
I just got this afternoon, a revised agenda from Nina, and that application wasn't on this revised agenda. Do you know if that application was withdrawn?
No, it wasn't. No.
I got
Because
two.
the only two items on the agenda that she sent me a few hours ago was the proposed regulation change and the temporary events.
I
And
got,
it does say revised agenda.
yeah, I got that one. Then I got this new one.
So did
Yeah,
I.
the new one.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the new one as well with it on there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm thinking Nina may have sent you the wrong one. I'm sorry, Allison.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to make sure. Thanks.
No, but let me just, I'll just confirm that this is the one that's online.
So, so tell me, what was that property address then that we just,
It was 13 Kellogg Street.
13 Kellogg Street?
It
Okay.
is on the agenda that's publicized, 13 Kellogg Street.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
Z-20-67.
Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
No,
All right, now we're on to temporary events. So I guess, bars aren't opening up for a while. So do we want to relook at extending the outside tents? Fran, how's it been going? Any complaints from any of the other businesses or anything else?
I had one complaint from one person who felt that he was being mistreated. I did an inspection of all the bars and restaurants last week. It's my intention to go out again tomorrow morning. I do just walkthroughs. I identify myself, tell him why I'm there. And the bar that he was complaining about, there was no violation. There was no chairs at the bar. And I actually know people who were there having dinner who told me that the bar was empty that night. So it's just
Well, I'm looking for more if there's anybody complaining that the tents are off.
No.
Okay.
It's been quiet. Like I would.
Our biggest concern, I think, was no drinking in the tents, like having a bar in the tents.
Yep.
And I haven't really been. I guess I went to Marketplace. I went there. I didn't really see any drinking in the tents more than just what you would have with dinner. So, that was my issue last time. I wanted to make sure the tents were gone before the bars open. So, what does everybody else think?
Yeah, well, since the bars aren't going to open, then we could leave them out, leave the tents up.
Yep,
Yeah.
So, just continue it to our next meeting of August 13th.
yes.
I agree. We should leave it to the 13th for sure.
Yeah, they need to make every dollar they can.
Yep, exactly right, Mary.
All right. And when I talked to the people at Marketplace, they said that they were doing well and thank you, because I guess we were one of the first towns that were proactive and getting it open. I think a lot more people came to Brookfield and started eating. I talked to a few of the restaurants and they seem to be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So I'd say then leave it as be if we're not worried about people drinking in the tents.
Yeah. I'll say on the record, Marketplace is like a prime example to look at because they can seat at the bar now. Because the executive order changed, but there needs to be that glass, a separation between the bar or whoever's behind the bar and the individual sitting there. And when I went in there for an inspection last week, just a surprise walkthrough, they had plexiglass around all the bar, and they did everything perfect. I mean, to me, they're a prime example of what anybody that wants to open their bar, this is what they should do. So.
And looking at the numbers, it looks like Connecticut people are really like being responsible and doing the right thing.
They are.
And with that, so we're all in agreement then that we'll just extend it till to our next meeting of August 13th.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, do you need anything more than that? Just that we're going to extend it? Do you need us to vote on it or
You
anything?
make a motion, that's all.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to extend our temporary outside events to August 13th at our next meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, with that, I'd actually like to discuss something. So, and I kind of discussed it a little bit with the school, and this is something that I think that our town especially needs to be aware of. So my whole business is, as an attorney, is just real estate, commercial and residential. We are exploding. This last three months, we have seen triple to quadruple the amount of sales and people coming from New York and especially New York City. We talk to a lot of our clients, and you can see that the future is that they're coming and they're taking their money out, and they still got 10 or 15 years, they're saying, to work. And they want to start opening up what they call smaller eclectic businesses in the area, which would be great for our town. So look at like Northern Fairfield County of almost being kind of like more of a mini type of city where you're still having distances without all the crowds. With that being said, you know, I know we're going to be talking more about that one road where we're talking about changing where there's no commercial on the bottom.
Mhm.
And the way I'm seeing it, I think that in the next year or two, we might see our commercial, not for office space, but our commercial space changing a lot differently than what it was because of the influx of people and money that's coming from New York. I mean, it is a lot and it is serious. We work probably 14, 15 hours a day now just doing closings for people.
Wow.
And everybody's coming from the city. So I just want to keep, that in mind to the zoning board going, Brookfield's going to look a little differently in 2 or 3 years. You can look around now and you see in all these New York plates. They're not ones that are just driving here to go to Stu Leonard's now. They're actually living here or going to be living here. So I just want to know what everybody else's feelings are on that.
That's great. Fill up all those storefronts in the town center district. Fill them up, bring them.
But I mean, do you think that we should be a little bit more hesitant on changing any of our stuff that was with commercial? I'm feeling that we should be.
Yeah, I think, we have to take a look at this, a holistic look with that information you got. And be a little hesitant about just going forward. I can understand the inner building, but like on Station Road, there's nothing that wouldn't keep it from being more than it is, as far as business goes. So it could happen.
And what I'm hearing from these people is it's like literally they only want 800 to 1,400 square feet, and they want smaller eclectic shops, which would be, phenomenal. And I would hate to see us cut down our space and not let that possibly bud. And this isn't, COVID's not going away, or at least the fear of COVID. Let's say that. The fear of COVID is not going away from people even after this election. I don't care what people are saying.
Agreed.
So I think this is going to be part of our future. And plus, we already seen so many people just bailing from the state of New York. And I think there was an article in the New York Times about that, about the mass leaving to Jersey and Connecticut.
Yeah.
Where would you rather go, Jersey or Connecticut? Come on.
Yeah. Eric, where exactly are they wanting to put these businesses? What areas are we talking about?
We're talking about the town center. They like stuff like, look at South Norwalk. That's the ones they always bring up. Sono. Consider it like, it's not the city, but you can sit there and you can walk from place to place. And you can go into one of them was talking about just doing something called a sari shop, where they sell the saris, the Indian or dress stuff and all that. And they're just saying, we just need little space to do this. they got their money, but they're still not ready to retire. So, enough of those shops come, it could be really kind of cool. And you can see it.
So are you just basically affirming what we've already discussed, that we shouldn't make any changes to?
We're not talking about the one application. I'm just, and I think me and Leslie have always had the same type of opinion on this one. So, I mean, between me and you, Leslie, talking, I think we would just take this over. But I'm just saying, to reiterate what me and Leslie has pretty much talked about in the past, there's a lot of stuff coming and changing. And I say, let it see what happens first and come, because we make the rules and that's it. We can't undo them. We can't break them. And I just am seeing a lot, because it's my business. I'm seeing a lot of people come through and asking those questions with the money and taking them out, and taking the money out of the city and coming here. I agree. Office spaces, unless it's shared office spaces for people to get out of the house, I think office space is a thing of the past. But you're looking at other stuff going on.
I think it's fantastic. That's what we want. We want a place where we can go and walk around and shop and eat, and little small shops. That's what people want. Bookstore, coffee shop, whatever. I think it's.
And I know there's one of the Verizons looking at going into the downtown center too. So, and from what I was told by somebody, if Verizon comes, that's a huge pull. Like, I guess Verizon stores pull a lot of people.
There's always a lot of people in them, that's for sure.
I can see that. You need some kind of anchor.
Yeah, and then we have, what's the Asian restaurant going in, Fran, in that one building?
Oh, I don't know. They haven't given a name out yet for it, for the new buildings. They actually broke ground on it finally on the other two buildings.
Yeah, I saw that.
I haven't noticed yet, so.
But it's supposed to be like a big national one, right?
Yeah. I know George Walker's the realtor for it. He promotes it. I'm not sure who it is though. So
from what I'm hearing, is it's supposed to be a really big one that's going to draw people too.
So yeah.
Good.
So that's the only thing I wanted to talk about, because I see it all over, and I want to make sure that we do not make the wrong move. And I did listen to what planning said, and they seemed that they were kind of a little mixed too. So other than that, I have nothing else to add. Anybody else?
No.
I got a couple things.
Of course you do, Fran.
Of course. So I want to go to the regulations for a minute, to Article 3, 3.4, if you have your books there, permitted uses by a zoning permit.
Page is that?
It's going to be page 53, I believe it is, permitted by zoning permit.
Yep.
I'm looking to get the commission's opinion of removing, except that buildings with areas greater than the above may be permitted with the approval of the commission with submission of a site plan. And my question is I have an application coming in for a garage. It's detached from the house. Currently, he has a garage that's 546 square feet. He's going to double the size of the garage. My outlook is that it should go to ZBA, not zoning, because the regulation for zoning says 900 square feet. So it's kind of defeats the purpose of having them come to zoning, because zoning can't really waive their own regulation. ZBA has to waive it. So it's almost like a double whammy. So it just, to me, it doesn't make any sense just to have those two sentences in there. That should be removed. That's my opinion. But I just want to get the commission's opinion too. Maybe if they want to look at it, think about it, and let me know at the next meeting. Give it a little time. I think it's redundant. You're doing it twice.
Article 3.
Yeah, it's page 53. Residential districts permitted by zoning permit.
Yeah, see in the table that it says C dot permitted by zoning permit, and one is for accessory uses and structures, and then buildings below that.
Yeah.
But Fran, what I see there is that it gives us some leeway to say, listen, zoning permit, that's something you can do. If someone wants to do a little more, then they have to bring a site plan in front of us. so we can make a decision on it. I know what you're saying is that, hey, you know, here are the rules, but the rules, at least we give ourselves flexibility right there. So like that guy who has a bigger building, and bring it in front of us so we can take a look at it and we say, okay, that's for your site or everything and it might be bigger in here, but we'll accept, it looks acceptable. So we give ourselves a little leeway so he doesn't have to go to the ZBA.
But can we do that though? Because we have a number set there at 900. And if he's going to greater than 900 that's my concern.
There's a number of areas in the regulations that always give us the commission may do something if, you know, if something else happens in this case, a site plan. So,
Where do you see the 900?
oh, it's,
I have it on page
It
52.
might be on 52.
It may be on 52, yeah. My regs are changed.
it's a table.
I see C and D.
Okay, then
Right.
in C.1, customary uses. And then there's A, B, and then underneath there's some more words.
All right, I think I have one of the newer books. Mine doesn't even have it.
This was amended effective 2019, April 19th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that one. I might have to get a new book. I have 2018, December 21.
Oh, yeah.
I have July 2019. I've got it.
Well, you know what, Fran, let me look in other places where there's, you know, where we have the commission may do something different than what's written and see how that, if it's a similar, if it's similar to this. Otherwise, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Here are the rules.
He has submitted an application to ZBA, but he's not on the agenda until next month. So
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't have to go to ZBA, then if we,
Yeah.
you know,
Fran, while we're at it, can you get me an up-to-date notebook?
yeah, I'll get you. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm operating a year behind.
All right. Yeah. Let me look more stuff.
You want to look into that, Kurt, and let me know, what you think or find.
Yeah.
Then just one more thing, and I'll let everybody go for the evening. Food trucks. Received a call from a gentleman who owns a pizza restaurant in Brookfield. I can't remember which one. I think it's the one over at 317. They want to do a trailer, pizza trailer, but it's going to be mobile. It's going to be a trailer, but they wanted to do it at DeGrazia's Vineyards on Sunday. And I said, typically, you need a site plan modification, come before the zoning commission, but it's not going to be stored there. It's just going to be there on routine cases, maybe on Sunday or Saturday, whenever weather permits and stuff. Because it's not a truck. He says it's a trailer where they just do like the brick oven pizzas, and then they're going to be out of there. So I don't know if that's something that the commission wants to think as a food truck. It wants them to come before him, or the commission, or I don't know how to go with this one. This is different.
I would almost think it's like a special event since it's not staying there. It's only
Yeah.
going to be there for the day and then it's leaving. So I think it's more of a special event that they apply for every Saturday from June 1st through September 15th. And they give you a description where it's going to be and everything else, so we know.
Yeah. So is that something you want to come before the commission, or?
I don't think it needs to come before us. I think
Okay.
you can sign off on that personally. It was the rest of the commission.
Yeah. No. As long as I have approval of the property owner and the site plan showing where it's going to be parked. That's all for the day.
Right. And then, I wouldn't mind if it's going to be parked at a place on the thing where there's a whole bunch of people coming that, maybe you get fire and police sign off.
Yeah. Okay. And that's it.
Anybody else?
Nothing.
Have a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 See you later, Fran.
Aye.
See you, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Aye.
Good night.